Well, welcome back to Finance Uncut. On today's episode, we discuss the coming global reset, which involves both gold and silver.
I put out an article last week explaining why Bitcoin will never ever be money, and I put, I made a number of points. I mean, the most important point is that central banks don't own it, and when fiat currency goes, they have got to replace the fiat currency with something. The only thing they own is gold. So the only thing they can actually practically do to stabilize their currencies is to turn them into gold substitutes. Now, it'll be nowhere near current levels in terms of relationship between paper currencies and gold. I mean, whether it's $100,000 or what, I don't know. But what we're seeing, I think, is the buildup of dynamics which really are moving towards the collapse in the purchasing power of fiat currencies. Now, that being the case, if you're going to mess around and sort of think, well, I'm going to wait for it to come off $20 because my chart says it might come off $20. I mean, you're doing completely the wrong thing. You really should be thinking in terms of financial survival rather than profiting in dollars or euros or sterling or whatever your currency is.
Your analogy there, you're trying to talk about someone who might be planning a strategy for looking for a low-cost entry point into silver. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's no point. I mean, things are getting so violent that when the system goes, you're either in or you're out. And so far, what we've had is people who only think in terms of, I'm going to have some of this in my portfolio. And they're thinking that in terms of prices, they're thinking that, let's say gold at the moment is 1771. They're thinking, well, when gold goes up to, say, 1850, then I will sell it and I'll wait for it to come back. I mean, hold on a minute. This is not actually what it's about.
And here's the article that Alasdair was referring to, why the future money is gold and silver. And I'll put a link in the description below so that you can read this article. It's quite a long article, very well written, very well researched. I definitely recommend you clicking on the link below and reading his article. This is the video that I did called The Great Reset, How to Survive. And I really, in this video, and it's a long video, it goes for 51 minutes, but I really try to educate everybody and put the pieces together on where this is likely to end up. Looking at what the World Economic Forum are doing, the IMF are promoting, all the global elites, the ECB, the World Bank, the central banks and governments now. They are all on this train of a great reset. And what is a great reset? It's actually quite scary. It's definitely an attack on your liberties and freedoms. It's an attack on capitalism. It's an attack on what has built our living standards in the West. I'll put a link in the description below to this video. If you're unfamiliar with the Great Reset, the World Economic Forum, the IMF, the UN, you name it, the World Bank, what their plan is, then do yourself a favor, pause the video now, click on the link below, watch this video, The Great Reset, to get up to speed on what's going on, and then jump back into this video and watch the rest of it. So we look at the economy. When we look at the GDP, which is supposed to be a sign of the economic health of a country or as a globe, and we can see that GDP is in the toilet. And with the cerveza sickness, everything that's happened, we've just destroyed production, we've destroyed small business, which is the engine room of any economy. And at the same time, we've got debt levels skyrocketing, and debt levels right across, whether it's public debt, corporate debt, or household debt. And so central banks have just put themselves into a corner, and this has been a process really since Nixon closed the gold window in 71. So, this has been a long time coming, but I believe, and look, you don't have to take my word for it. Listen to billionaire bond king Jeff Gundlach. He says that sometime in this decade that the US dollar as the world's reserve currency is coming to an end. And he doesn't want to put a date or a year on it, but he can't see it lasting beyond the 2020s. Global central bank assets. George Gemmon talks about, and he's asked some questions about, why central banks have been buying all sorts of different assets, creating currency units and buying whole different assets. And he goes down the rabbit hole of, the Fed being a private institution. It is not a government institution. It's a private corporation, if you will. And what a better way to accumulate assets. You get to create currency out of nothing and accumulate assets. And he links that to this whole great reset. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. You'll own nothing because the central banks will own everything. Well, Fed Powell recently said, don't think we would ever sell bonds into the market. Luke Roman says, translation, we monetize the debt. We're going to keep monetizing the debt. So, as I said, we've destroyed the economy. We've got the biggest debt bubble in history. I say this all the time, that the bond market is the biggest bubble. It's bigger than the crypto. It's bigger than the share market. It's bigger than what's happening in the real estate market. The bond market, to me, is the biggest bubble that I've ever seen in my investing career. And central planners, I don't know if they're scared of the only outcomes they've got, or whether it's part of a whole nother plan with this whole great reset. I don't know. I like to think good in people and not think the worst. But central bank digital currencies are coming. They're coming. And there's been actually quite a bit of chatter for some time about what's behind central bank digital currencies and the connection with cryptocurrency, and why hasn't government banned it? Because it's a threat. It's a threat. And there's definitely some interesting theories, which I can't put my finger on exactly which one is correct or not. But this is from the ECB on the 3 different models of central bank digital currencies that they're looking at: an indirect CBDC, a direct CBDC, and a hybrid CBDC. I know that the MMTers, and I'm not going to mention their names in this video, but some who have been advising the Fed on a Fed coin talk about how the evil of capitalism, the biggest evil of capitalism, is the banking system, the banks, the commercial banks. And with MMT and with a Fed coin, a central bank digital currency, there's no need for commercial banks at all. And we all can just have a direct account with the central bank. And these smart people, they're so smart that they can work out what's good for us, what's best for us and our families. And they understand where currency needs to be put into different sectors of the economy, because central planning is, it hasn't been tried before. No, not like this. We need to give communism another chance, and we do that through central bank digital currency and MMT. It's been tried, it's failed, and the Austrian School of Economics, just smashed socialism, communism, and just showed how it cannot work. It's like 1 + 1 = 1,456. It just doesn't add up. It cannot work. because it has there's no price discovery. They misallocate scarce resources, and ultimately an economy fails. But these people, they think they're smarter than everyone else. They think they are the smartest people that have ever walked the face of this planet. But it's coming. Our good mate, the good professor, Richard Werner, says the ECB decided to really boost cryptocurrencies and could turn this year's performance into mere foreplay. By keeping up negative rates for so many years, it is now forcing banks to charge negative rates on deposit accounts, ultimately also savings accounts, prepping for CBDC. Yeah, it's coming. The ECB, Christine Lagarde, just did a video on Twitter. I definitely recommend you check it out. And she's really crazy. She's talking about privacy and that people want privacy with their central bank digital currency, but not too much privacy that criminals can use it. Like, seriously, it's a joke. So it's central bank digital currency has been in the pipeline for some time. MMT has been in the pipeline for some time. Global reset has been in the pipeline for some time. And so the question is why, cryptocurrency, who set it up, who created it, basically who is Nakamoto. And John Adams, I've been hearing a lot of this for a while now. John Adams is the first one to really tweet it out. He said, last week, gold, silver pros told me that the National Security Agency published white papers in the 1990s about cryptocurrencies. Once again, who is Nakamoto? Is Bitcoin legit, or is it a psychological warfare tactic to make people accept central bank digital currencies? This has actually been chatted about for a little while now. Who is Nakamoto? Why haven't governments and central banks tried to squash Bitcoin? Because in the sense of, in all reality, these decentralized cryptocurrencies should be a threat to the existence of government itself. I mean, as an Austrian economic student, I love the idea of decentralized cryptocurrencies. I love it. But the reality is, who's going to win a fight? Like, if it is legit and genuine, my question is, if everyone jumps into cryptocurrencies, say Bitcoin or anything else, and everyone flees the government currencies, governments collapse. The governments don't exist. They have no power. Central bankers don't exist. And I don't see that happening. I don't see politicians just going, yep, no worries, we're out of a job, we're leaving, and you guys are all on your own. I don't see them doing that. So I've always thought there's risks with cryptocurrency. I've always looked at it as a speculative asset, like Paul Tudor Jones, 1 to 2% of your portfolio into it, and if it goes to $1 million, awesome. If it goes to zero, cool. Life goes on. But there's been a little bit of talk lately that central banks and governments have been planning central bank digital currencies for some time. But how will people adopt it? How can we make people jump from this system that we're in to a central bank digital currency? And one way is for people to get used to Bitcoin and Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies. And this whole digital movement. I mean, some people go down the rabbit hole with the cerveza sickness and, the ban on cash. We've had that fight in Australia for the last 18 months, the cash ban laws or proposals. It's interesting because ultimately central bank digital currencies are coming one way or another. And I believe that when they do, and they are implemented, that decentralized cryptocurrencies might find, that they come under, the AML, these anti-money laundering, terrorism type laws. And I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see. But it's an interesting conversation. And in breaking news, Turkey's central bank just banned its citizens from using cryptocurrencies to purchase goods and services as of April 30th. Now, that is coincided with, obviously, the Turkish lira is collapsing. And to try to, provide confidence in Turkey, they've issued gold bonds and certificates. So the Turkish Treasury and Finance Ministry issued gold bonds and certificates for 18,500 kilograms of the precious metal on Wednesday. Yes, gold is money, sorry. Well, silver is money. Gold has been used as money, but silver has been used as money more times than gold throughout history. The first record of money in the Bible, in the Old Testament, in the Tanakh, in the Torah, is silver. Gold has predominantly been a store of value or store of wealth. However, what do central banks hold? Central banks hold gold. And throughout history, whenever there's been currencies that have collapsed, fiat currencies that have collapsed, it's always gone back to a gold or silver standard. It's the only way that has produced confidence back in a country's currency. And so Turkey have done this, and my opinion is this is something that we're likely to see, that when eventually the currency, the US dollar and other currencies do collapse, that I think gold, not silver, gold, because that's what central banks and governments hold, is that we will have gold revalued, and that we will have some type of gold-backed digital currency. So the currency will be backed by gold to give some sort of confidence, but we will have central bank or some type of digital currency, central bank digital currency, and the private cryptocurrencies will somehow be outlawed. That's what I see. That's how I see it. In saying that, I still think that the cryptocurrencies can go much, much higher from here. But I look at it as a speculative asset. I do not believe that it will ever become a currency, become some sort of reserve currency, because ultimately, you just may as well dissolve governments and central banks. They don't exist, and that ain't going to happen. So I just don't see that happening. I really don't. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. From that Austrian economic point of view, that sound money point of view, Hayek's, free currency, free banking type thing. I just don't see it. So this is how I see things. And also in breaking news, the United States plans to bar US financial institutions from participating in the primary market for new debt issued by who? The Russian Central Bank, the Finance Ministry and Sovereign Wealth Fund. Makes sense why Russia's National Wealth Fund is piling into gold. And it's quite interesting. Jim Rogers talks about Russia. He's been investing in Russia a lot. Russia's probably got the best balance sheet out of any major nation in the world. I think their debt to GDP is in the 20% mark. So, I don't know, 25, 27% or something of debt to GDP. Compare that to what the US, around 130, Japan around 280, something like that. I haven't looked at the numbers recently, but so the debt to GDP ratio, Russia have been buying gold like no tomorrow. Russia and China, sorry, as well as India, but Russia in particular. And Russia now holds more gold than US Treasuries as reserves. Russia are trading with the EU and other nations no longer in dollars, but in either euro or in gold. Trade now in US dollars has been going down, while trade in other assets have been going up. So, Russia are playing this quite smart. Central bank and consumer buying in India and China arrest gold slide. Prices steady as new source of demand offset ETF outflows. Those damn ETFs once again. Anyway, let's cut to a clip that talks about demand for gold in China due to the digital yuan. And this is probably going to happen around the world as central bank digital currencies come into effect as well. This is an interesting little clip.
Right before the advent of this launch of the digital RMB.
This is really interesting. And now my ears are ringing, Brian. So if I get this correctly, there'll be a surge in demand in gold. Yeah. Right. With the rollout of the digital currency, because people will feel the need to further protect themselves.
Exactly. And then, in China, Bitcoin is very difficult to do. And they've already banned Bitcoin mining in many places. So they are already kind of tightening the screws on the crypto market in China, because they know that the cryptocurrency market is a way for them to lose control of capital flows within China. And the Chinese government totally hate that, right? And that's why they're coming up with the digital RMB. It's really about control of capital flows in and out of China and within the economy. There are positives to a digital cash. It's going to make monetary policy much easier. And I feel that, if you must have been watching the news about China, wherein they say, though the economy is growing now, it's actually rebounded a lot from the lows of the pandemics. But the problem is it's not an even recovery. You have manufacturing rebounding strongly, but consumption remains very weak. And I think China has learned from 2008. And when 2008, when they launched a massive stimulus program that was designed just to attack or address the supply side of the economy, they just built roads and bridges all, everywhere. And it was just a matter of pumping out growth, right? And the demand didn't really come until later on. Now, the problem is, what do you do in this kind of situation where you need to stimulate the economy, but then make sure that you're stimulating demand instead of creating more artificial supply? And I think the digital RMB is going to help solve a lot of that, because you can actually start stimulating parts of the society that you want to by just pumping cash into these wallets of these segments of these societies that you think that they need to increase consumption. That's the positive side. But the negative side, again, people are not stupid. Chinese people are not stupid. I'm half Chinese. And I know my parents have always loved gold, and they need it for not just for weddings. They love buying gold, whether it's gold price is up or down, and they love buying it more when the gold price is down. And you will see it in the Shanghai Gold Exchange premium. That premium actually hit a historic low discount when the price of gold suddenly shot up last year. And the Chinese government intervened and stopped deliveries of gold for a while. Now, that premium is back up to almost 1%, which is this historic premium. And Chinese have been known to buy up gold whenever the price of gold goes down. And I think that's going to coincide with the launch of the digital RMB. And I think that gold jewelers all over China are going to do so well this coming 12 months.
And China renews appetite for gold, with $8.5 billion set to arrive, around 150 tons of gold worth around 8.5 billion at current prices, are likely to be shipped by next month, multiple sources claim. And China opens its borders to multi-billion-dollar gold imports. And really, when we look at what Russia, China, India are doing, and other central banks as well. We saw another video I shared the other day. The Hungary central bank in the last 2 years have increased its gold holdings 3,000%. All central banks, other than Canada. Canada is absolutely useless. And the Australian RBA, the Reserve Bank of Australia, with our 11 tons of gold that's been leased. We actually don't know how much gold we own, or if we even own any. It's a real joke. But all other major countries have been buying gold like no tomorrow. So, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle here, folks. And, throughout all these videos that I've done, since I started this channel, is really about trying to look at the macro, trying to look at the political aspect, and trying to put these pieces together at what the future holds, so that we can prepare our portfolios to, one, protect ourselves, but also to profit. And everything that I'm seeing from my studies, from my experience, listening to experts in their fields, really points to the fact that our current economic model, this fiat-based, this debt-based system, is coming to an end. The US dollar as the world's reserve currency is coming to an end. The question is, where are we moving? What does it look like? And you just look at the powers that be, what they're saying. The whole global reset, this great reset, central bank digital currencies. As I said, go watch my video, The Great Reset, how to survive, whatever it's called. It's in the link below, where I try to put all these pieces together. And it's not a pretty environment. The other option is that central banks do the right thing, and that we do go back to a gold standard, using technology, using cryptocurrency, using a digital currency is fine. I think that is the future. But having sound money, backing it by sound gold or silver, or a combination of the two, or whatever, would be good. But there is going to be pain that happen in this transition. And so, my whole goal with this channel is just to share my thoughts and opinions. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I just try to put the pieces of the puzzle together, hopefully educate, and have as many people prepare for what I see coming anyway, to, one, protect themselves, and to, two, profit out of this reset that I think is coming. So anyway, it's just my opinion. As I said, I don't give advice on this channel. I don't give any recommendations. I share what I do. I give my opinions and thoughts. But yeah, I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. They're just my thoughts and opinions. And with that, I'd love to see your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, so you get all my videos, so you don't miss out on any of the macro changes and the political changes and all that sort of stuff. So take care, everyone. Wish you all the best of luck, and I'll see you again on another episode of Finance Uncut.